Hey, everybody, welcome back to your Dawn of Autonomy podcast. I'm Dawn Zolda, your host, CEO of P3 Tech Consulting and publisher at Autonomy Global. We are in a month that we've dedicated to this theme of mission enablers, sponsored by Exxon Technologies. So thank you, Exxon. And today we have Aerora on the show. Phil Mann is the chief commercial officer for this company that's making all the pieces and parts that make our drones and robots go. So great to have you on the show, Phil.
Well, thank you very much.
Absolutely. We were talking, and I met Phil about a year and a half ago at the Drone Responders event. Been kind of following what he's been doing, and ran into him again at Exponential this year with his new company, and got to talking, and here he is. So, Phil, for those that don't know you, can you tell them just a little bit about your background?
Well, certainly, and thank you very much for the invite, and good morning to everyone listening. So, Phil Mann, I've been in technology quite a while, uh, focused a lot in position, navigation, and timing. The last 10 years has been a lot of technology to deal with, advanced mobility, from robots to autonomous driving cars, automated guided vehicles, trucking, all kinds of robotics that is all about increasing productivity. And that actually led to a project that we did in New York City where we improved the throughput of the metro subway system there. That was complex and fun, a lot of software, a lot of hardware. Uh, that got us into working with drones for a variety of companies. And I met a company called Unique, and Unique invited me to help run, and that got me thoroughly into drones on that side of things. Uh, Obviously, a few challenges on that particular front, and I pivoted into, more software. Founded a company called Airwise Solutions, and then moved here into Aurora. And again, what's Aurora? Well, my background again, just technology and enabling and increasing productivity, and then Aurora, we'll talk on the show here, is all about really kind of accelerating market adoption for these amazing tools.
Well, what an interesting background from PNT, which I mean, can't do autonomy without position, navigation, and timing, to
I'm
working on a subway project, to
Yeah,
Airwise and now Aurora. So that's so cool. Tell us about this company, Aurora. What is it all about?
yeah. So, Aurora has like a rich history in, a lot of, uncrewed aviation solution sets. Today it stands strong in, electric speed motors and controllers. It does the manufacturing of that, does that in Vietnam. Ground control stations or data links. And then because it can do motors, it also makes gimbals, and that puts gimbals and payloads together, all for the effort and mission of, accelerating the use of drones and, in my view, just these robotic tools, whether it's for delivery or for enterprise, any type of solution that really kind of enables this bit of automation, even when we do have when we have manned operations on using these solutions on that front. So Aurora has this history in this arena, and then it really kind of got started 2 years ago here in North America and setting itself up, and has got some very strong customers really across the board in all three of these pillars. It has the ability to make bespoke solutions as well as these standard solutions that we have.
Excellent, excellent. So you mentioned gimbals, ground controllers, propulsion systems, motors. Uh, Bottom line, what problems in the market is Aurora trying to solve?
Yeah. So number one solution is to accelerate technology. You're a drone OEM, and it's like, oh yeah, we don't have the latest and greatest thermal camera. What's the fastest time to market to do that? Aurora can integrate, do some of that engineering, and pull all these things off for you, on that side of it. And then it also has the supply chain manufacturing. So hey, I'm a young drone OEM, and I don't really want to do the data link ground control station. I want to use a standard one, but I might only need, 100 units, periodically. I don't want to bother with the supply chain, and we have all that manufacturing and supply chain, and then we can consolidate that with, with a just a larger set of scale. So Aurora is providing you the engineering integration to go faster, whether it's a gimbal, camera, ground control station, or propulsion, and then it's providing you the supply chain, manufacturing, at any scale, small or large.
Okay, excellent, excellent. And I see global operations here. Obviously, you mentioned the
Yeah.
company originated in Vietnam, and where's the headquarters in North America?
So the headquarters of North America is here in Santa Clara, California. Is where we're headquartered. So we operate here in the San Francisco Bay Area and in Portland, Oregon, where we have, engineering and some operations, on that particular front. I mentioned before, just outside of Hanoi, we have a factory that is, that is ours. Uh, we're in Japan as well, where we have some, tech support and sales efforts, but that's also helping some major customers, in that arena. We still also have some origins in Shanghai with engineering reference designs.
Okay, very good, very good. So what makes Aurora's solutions particularly suited for demanding missions?
This is kind of like, the forte in the sense that, when we talk about aviation, right, we're not really talking about just the reliability, right, in terms of things that can stand the test of time. So like this, we pick on propulsion, right? We are now making tens of thousands of motors at a time, right? So here we've got scale on that particular front. From a data link ground control station point of view, we're on our third generation ground control station. We've made a few thousand of these units already, right? So that is, powerful, and they're designed for enterprise, right? They're not consumer electronics, but the company's got the wherewithal for making both low and high volume at pretty high standards. And our customers today tend to be drone OEMs themselves, and they seem pretty satisfied with the quality, reliability, and availability that they've been getting on that particular front.
Well, you mentioned supply chain, and that's just one of those critical issues, whether enterprise, whether defense, even public safety now, right? Everybody's looking at supply chain. How do you ensure supply chain resilience?
So that comes straight out of diversity on that side of things. One of our powers is that we are a factory, right? So we are constantly buying parts. So we have buying power, we have scale on that particular front. So that's useful. We're able to use our the dollars and even investment that we get to to plan ahead. We're pretty well connected. So when it comes to like the motors, the motors part, right? We know how to operate and get the rare earth material. So we're getting the magnets in the right place at the right time. Um, it's not without, trials and tribulations to kind of, to get things done, but it's leveraging a global supply chain, right? So there's still parts you can buy from China, and we certainly take full advantage of the economic favors that provides when allowed. Um, I'm just coming back to the magnitude of the factory, so we're making lots of these things as well, and that's the advantage for for customers, right? So they benefit from that as well, where they may need only a portion of what we do, and we're not making one thing for one person. Having said that, we also white label with the bespoke type solutions on that. It's leveraging base platforms, so you're not stranded.
Well, before we got on the show, we were talking about NDAA compliance. I know that's a big deal for the defense side, for certain critical infrastructure stakeholders. Again, certain states now moving in that direction in terms of even public safety. So, given the fact that you're leveraging a global supply chain and some in some respects China, how do you walk that line? In other words, are some of your parts NDAA compliant or Blue framework listed or anything like that?
Yeah, so so we start off with a premise of, NDAA compliance, right? If somebody needed a solution that didn't have to be NDAA, you can take advantage of that. The same set of skills and attributes that we've described before. But the focus is compliance with the North America Defense, Act. But you'll find it is complicated, right? When do these rules apply? When do those rules apply? So this summer with the government, like, hey, we're going to focus here on drones. It actually cleared a few things up where, like, okay, which parts are on a list and which parts aren't. And that
Yeah.
actually provided a little bit more useful clarity. Then with the DIU and AUVSI, okay, I got my different flavors of blue. But if I go through this and I get this test, and then I'm I can be NDAA, which is mostly self-declared, and then I can go through various tests which says it's NDAA, and I can go through it and get green. So as an example, our ground control station is going through the process of trying to, have the AUVSI green approval on that, in addition to being NDAA. So we're very, we're pretty astute, and we're pretty close to making sure we understand the rules of, like, when do these things apply, and then we make sure that it goes all the way through. And that's the advantage of the Vietnam operation. And again, we're in Portland, right? So we need to do the final assembly here. So, as an example, we have a solution set using the FLIR Hadron camera, and that just is not something that's trivial to export. So we do assembly here. So that's a lot of words for saying that we have studied these documents forward and backwards, and put in a very solid process from a corporate structure point of view, and then our manufacturing process and adherence to that, and then the quality that goes along with that.
Got it. I mean, Aurora is making so many different components. Is the focus solely drones, Phil, or are we talking eVTOLs, air taxis? Are we talking ground robotics, maybe even underwater, uncrewed vehicles, anything like this?
So if you've seen this at a couple of trade shows, you'll talk about drones and robotics, right? So somebody kind of, we're focused on sales, and we're focused on drone OEMs predominantly. That will take us to, various serious end users who want, their own solution that they can't find on the marketplace. And we can help basically partner and team up with folks like that. Like, we're bumping into companies that are like, hey, we know agriculture very well, and maybe we can do something in that arena. So that's useful on that front. But these solutions apply to any type of robotics, manned or crewed or uncrewed. Focuses on drones, ground robotics, underwater, anyone who can make use of a gimbal and a particular payload would find Aurora attractive. So our mission is very wide, and our focus, this year is predominantly on drones, and why we're here. But it's why I like the phrase of this show, Dawn of Autonomy, right? It is, in my own background, it's all about autonomous solutions.
It is, and all the things that Aurora is making are highly relevant to that. And so let's talk a little bit about value add, right? Because this is mission enabling month, right? Mission enablers, and a big part of that is speed. People, if they're building something, they want to get to market as soon as possible, start selling that product, making money, of course, making a profit. How does Aurora help accelerate a partner's time to market?
So if you think about something, so just because this seems relevant, you're working on a ground control, so you got your drone, and you just need a more powerful ground control station. So you can create that yourself. Yeah. And then how are you going to manufacture that? Are you going to be, hey, I need 10 a month, I need 100 a month, I need 1,000 a month, these ad hoc bursty type, supply chain things, and manage it all yourself. Or not, in this case, you can have more of a standard platform that would come from us. You can white label that, make that your own, work through our partners to acquire these things, and then not have to worry about the supply chain management side of all of that, right? So you get a little speed to market, and you get a lot of peace of mind on trying to deal with the supply chain. If you take something like a camera, so what's next from us is taking a look at some of these higher end thermal solutions and sensors, even at the 1280 level, and trying to make that available for cameras. So you can, hey, I can find this, I can do the design, I can do all these things. Or you could come to Aurora and we can provide you a platform and a solution that just makes it faster and easier to design with SDK, so you don't have to worry about that, and then get the benefit of the supply chain management on top. So it will lower your costs, and it will speed up the design, and then finally that peace of mind on the supply chain side of things. And
Well,
then
yeah,
if you hit our website, like, you'll see us teaming up with folks. There's a nice white paper that we've done, on this camera side, where we're working very well with companies like Lentronics for using some of their SOMs. That includes working with folks like FLIR, and their teams, and it just comes together really well on that side of things.
Oh yeah, I also want to make a point to tell people there is a QR code here. That's where you can get to the website easily. So I just wanted to highlight that for folks. So that's excellent. Because you're really commanding that entire supply chain from end to end. You can make sure all the required parts are there, right? Whether it's bespoke, as you said, whether it's white labeled, whether it's a partner such as Teledyne FLIR, you can make it all happen. So that makes sense. And I can see how that would enable a mission and make it a little bit faster. But you guys also design your own motors and rotors. Explain to me how that design process, what you guys are doing, compares to market standards.
So in terms of market standards, um, so I'm not sure it's that easy to say, hey, because there is no like single market standard, right?
There really
I think
isn't.
um, you know, I and we tend to think more in like applications, use case type of things, right? So great examples for this, right? Drone as a first responder, right? Very big across the U.S. You're seeing investment go into that. Quite a few companies. So from Aurora's point of view, hey, drones a first responder, and maybe we want, maybe there's a piece of that market that needs, hey, we want very top end, thermal and only thermal. We don't care about this, and we just really wish we had the best cost performance camera that could go on. We're not seeing, we're not seeing the highest resolution. So the market standard then sort of develops and go, hey, we could get more done if only we had. Now Aurora, having designed gimbals and cameras and payloads, can accelerate that, right? And that's where you would come to us. For motors, we kind of do bespoke on that side of things, and and standard as well. But it's not that we're not like the same as a T motor when it comes to propulsion. We are pretty strong and focused on very specific applications. Some just for any type of robot, but happens to be drones at the moment right now.
Well, when I think
So,
about motors, and of course, Phil, just this week, Part 108, the Notice of Public Rulemaking comment period closed out. Part of that 700-page document in the proposed rule was about noise for drones. And, so when I think about motors, I think noise. I also think, or quietness, conversely. I also think in terms of, kind of loiter time, distance, power, all of those things. So I assume you guys are kind of posturing yourself to whatever this final rule is going to be for beyond visual line of sight, whether it's for a mission like DFR that you mentioned or otherwise, that you can accommodate whatever those needs are.
yeah, so this is where we would collaborate. This is where we collaborate with any robotics or drone OEM customer out there, right? And that is there a special something that you need that you're not seeing easily available in the marketplace? All of those attributes you talk about, right? They're trade-offs, right? Size, revs, how does that deal with noise? What can you do to make it quieter? How can you put the coils tighter? How can you deal with different magnets? There's there's a lot of flavors, to all of that. And then of course, then there's a price trade-off that comes with that. But this is where Aurora can be quite a powerful partner in that we can collaborate on that, where we take our engineering experts and go, look, here are the trade-offs from a price, performance, volume point of view. Our CEO is very astute in this, right? Where we tend to fight for having more done in that way, and there's just more efficiencies. But then you have whatever the environment is you're in. So if you're making a drone to go inside, oil refineries, and you want to get through the finer places, that can be a tight squeeze, and you fight for that. Like we talk about, like the ground control station side of things, if you think about that, hey, I'm controlling a drone, I've got a pilot. Okay, what if I got beyond visual line of sight? I'm somewhere remote. That device when you're in the field is really an edge computer, right? Like, can I do some localized processing with my data right then and there? There's a lot of software work going on about how to make better use of that. So if you've got the latest and greatest, OSs, and in our case, a lot of Qualcomm processors on there, you can do more than just fly the drone with that device out there. And that just explodes in terms of applications, especially when we're remote locations, whether it's enterprise or first responders on that front. Anyway, that was a long-winded answer.
No, it's all good. I mean, it was actually a great segue into ground control stations, and of course the related remote data links that you guys also work on and provide. So tell us a little bit about that in terms of communications and what stands out from Aurora in those particular arenas.
I think the standout for there is, like I said, it's like our third generation. So we've got a lot of pilot feedback, right? Buttons underneath the bottom so you can do things, battery backup in it so you can replace the battery and not power, trying to get faster charging, on these sort of solutions. It's an Android 14. So just, if you will, it's just a very contemporary, a lot of pilot input has gone into that solution, as well as customer feedback on that particular front. So it's it's a tool, right? I need to have these types of things to control the drone. Now, what other applications can I put on it that add value, whether it's a ground robot or a drone? And then what Aurora is providing as a supply chain solution set, so you don't have to think or worry about that aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean, I understand you guys can also take advantage of LTE technologies, and some of your communications bands are dual band comms on
Yeah,
various
dual band.
frequencies.
So dual band comms. So just to expand upon that, so dual band, LTE, and it's not quite plug and play on radios, right? But you can choose it, right? So if you're doing a lab mesh radio, you can have that. If if you're in defense, we don't have a SKU just yet for syllabus, but you can have that. We've done some work with Tysync, with their radios on that particular front. But you can have a solution with a radio that suits your robot.
Excellent, excellent. We do have a question out there from Ben Grossman. Ben is asking, how did the collaboration with LAN or Iontronics come about? Iontronics.
Lantronics.
Lantronics. Okay, Lantronics. Sorry.
I'm trying to think of, I know the original source of that, but I'm not sure how that came about. But we were definitely when we were coming to the camera solutions, and we knew we were going to partner with Teledyne FLIR on that. We needed a SOM, and we needed some very specialized solution sets for these types of cameras, and especially dual RGB and the thermal. And electronics was ready for us at the right time in the right place. There's been a very strong partnership between our two companies. So they helped do some of the software. A bunch of the IP is ours on that particular front. So I'm probably missing exactly how that came about, but we definitely needed a top North American SOM solution set for us.
So let's talk gimbals. I mean, related to cameras, right? Cameras are only as good as the gimbals that are like basically allowing them to basically pivot and
Yeah,
see things, if you will. Tell me a little bit more about that.
yeah. So, but being expert, in cameras and then on the motor side, so we make the gimbal motors as well. So
Wow.
with that kind of as the foothold for us, then that lets us get into the ability to make gimbals. And then the benefit to the world is just price performance, right? So you're getting a very good solution. And there's just a variety of sizes that can be made. Not that we're sitting with a catalog of standard gimbals you can get from us. It'd be, hey, check us out, and you know, part of what we'll talk about here shortly. But when we get into what's new is, hey, what other types of cameras might we want to put out there? 2, 3 lenses, 4, 5 lenses. There's all kinds of crazy ideas out there, but the idea is efficiency of use once you're in the field. But that's where I wouldn't say people know us huge for gimbals yet, but we're a powerful source for that.
Very good. So let me make sure I'm completely getting this, Phil, and I'm communicating this well to our audience. So you guys are integrators, of not only your own technologies bespoke, but also other people's technologies, like partners, like Lantronix, as an example. And you're doing all of that, and you have your own factory to do it.
We have our own factory to do it. The partnership, like electronics, right? So that is a means to the ends, right? We need SOMs, so we will take care of that. In the engineering that goes into all of that. That's part of our NDA compliance side of things, and that solved a number of things, for the camera, and that's what led to that white paper between the three companies, on that front. So we're more than an integrator. You want to think of us as an OEM, right? Hey, I wish I had a camera that came with a gimbal. Okay, Aurora is an OEM. You want to white label that and bespoke that. That's in our business model and in our forte, frankly, on that particular front. So we can help do the upfront design and integration into your solution set, and then the supply chain behind that.
Okay, very good, very good. So 100% working with OEMs, in other words, because of all your strong partnerships across the globe with all different kinds of components, you're not currently working with, let's just say, a group or a person, an organization that has their own drone fleet already that just needs maybe an update. Like, just let's just say they need, there's a better camera out there. They want to add thermal, or they want to add um, lidar to their fleet. The next best thing. Would they work with you on that directly, or they send it to you and you upgrade the fleet? How can that work too?
So can that work? It can work that on that solution. Do we have a for instance here today? Not as of yet on that front.
Okay.
The tendency is, you take the type of end users you're talking about tend to be some level of utility. From
Yes. Right.
you know you know cell towers, power transmission, water pipelines. On that particular front, and the what tends to happen is that that large end user would then go to its fleet OEM going, yeah, why don't you two guys work together? That would probably solve this a lot faster on that, on that type of thing. That tends to be how those discussions are going on that particular front. Because in the end, if we're providing a solution into an OEM, that it's you always need to know a little bit more about how the device, comes together when you're putting these types of solutions together. Ground control station is a little bit different, where that's a little easier to integrate because it's kind of separated from the ecosystem there.
Yep, yep. Understand, understand. Well, we talked motors, we talked rotors, but we didn't talk about batteries. Let's go there because tell me what you guys are doing in that arena.
So we're so we provide batteries, right? There's lithium batteries go inside ground control stations. There batteries. Now we're not uh, So we provide batteries. We can do the supply chain for that. We've got battery, like everybody else, we've got our own, battery management solutions that we're proud of and think get you the better efficiencies on, across the board on that. We're not we're not making lithium cells or the inner guts of all that sort of stuff. But from a battery point of view, you can get great solutions from us as well. It tends to go into, hey, so the easiest one to point to right now is that ground control station where we procure batteries, but then we put our own battery management system inside that. So we will tell you we've got a great mousetrap and a better solution than everybody else on that particular front. But it's our IP and our solution set, and then it just again it's one less thing for the OEM to worry about. Okay, do I have to do all of that? No, you get the solution. If your software on there or whatever it is, the application you're going after. You talked earlier about market standards. So I think it's easy to focus on use case and applications, and then how many can you get from there?
Excellent, excellent. Another question from Ben. He's very active today. Hey, Ben, thank you so much for chiming in. Question about mesh networks and cybersecurity. Are you working with Mobilicom or any other company, if you're allowed to say?
So it's so cybersecurity, like all of our customers are very keen on that and have solution sets for that. So we got to comply with those things. We are trying to see if we can't get the AVSI green, which on a ground control station, can help with that. Mobilicom, Mobilicom and I, we've chatted in the past. We haven't figured something out there yet. But you talked about mesh networks, and that's, there's an application. Hey, we need a mesh network. We've got a solution set over here. If in one case the Mobilicom radios were the right solution set, then we could easily collaborate on that particular front. There's a little competition between us on these devices, but again, we're kind of about what solution works, for that. So hey, I need a mesh network and I need a solution that does this. Aurora, you seem to be able to put these things together fairly well. That'd be great. And we're going to use them with Mobilicom radios. Well, that would just set up that entire collaboration to get that working.
Okay, excellent. Well, that's a great bridge to a question of, as you look around, Phil, you're on the show, you're telling everybody what Aurora is doing. You guys had a booth at AVSI Exponential looking to connect and make partnerships with people. Who then are your ideal kind of partners? And related to that, who are your ideal customers, whether they're the same or different?
So there's a breadth to what Aurora does, right? It's all connected with, hey, how do we get drones and robotics in general, for that matter, adopted faster? The driver for that is usually some type of increased productivity or safety improvement, whether it's DFR, inspections. Just the sky's the limit on that. Delivery, of course.
Sure.
On that. So from a narrow point of view, any of you out there that are, making your own drone, I think that you're definitely somebody that we would be very interested in chatting with and helping on that particular front. From a partnership point of view, we touched on this earlier, where large scale doesn't have to be large scale, but just I've got a very specific application, and our current fleet or our intended fleet, if it could be updated, upgraded, enhanced, then maybe there's a collaboration there as well on that particular front. Partnerships, you've seen it, in terms of building up the base technology. So we're going to partner with, sensor companies, right? Whether it's a thermal sensor, RGB sensor, you've seen it with a SOM. So these are kind of like the building blocks to kind of get to, a solution, and that goes into a bigger platform on that side. So partnerships with, sensor folks is one powerful aspect of that. We've kind of talked about the ideal kind of, customers. And then there are people who, in the ecosystem says, look, they just provide, sales distribution, if you will. It seems a bit called that value-added reselling is what I really want to, term on that particular front. So I think those are kind of like the three level of, of partners. It all gets connected to, if it's a power line inspection, like, okay, solutions are being done with, manned helicopters for a long time. There's a lot of drone adoption, and there's lots of software companies and lots of hardware companies going after all of that. Hey, you can we fit inside that ecosystem of trying to solve a particular problem at any scale. So that helps somebody who's just getting started or somebody who's very well established.
Okay, excellent. You got my brain going, Phil, because as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking, man, he should be walking the floor at Geo Week in Denver in February because like the sensors galore, my friend. And then,
Yeah,
of course, the energy crowd is every year at the Energy Drone Robotics Coalition Summit in Houston, the Petro Metro. So we'll be out there next year as well.
right.
So lots of potential collaborations, Phil, out there. But bottom line, you guys are, like you said, wide breadth and scale in terms of what you bring to the table at Aurora. To kind of sum it up, how do you see Aurora really enabling that next wave of different drone missions?
So just focusing, you said drone missions. We'll stick with drones here for that side of things.
Yeah,
So we're at the industry's been talking about these pivot points for a long time, right? But beyond visual line of sight really now seems to be, upon us. So as a robotics person, on this sort of stuff, hey, drones first came out 2013, 2014, fantastic. Hey, these could be used for productivity, but it really was, one human pilot, one drone had to be in line of sight. And, that's not a massive productivity enhancement, right? Because what if I
right.
want to have a fleet of drones out there and I want them to go in different places? And I've written papers on DFR, so right, fans of what the folks did in Chula Vista on that
Yep.
front. So, um, you know, that expansion where I can use and drones can do, delivery and they can fly over people and they, that's where things can really explode in terms of what people need now. you know One of the things that pops up is like, well, I really wish we had, like, if there's only one camera to rule them all, right? Hey, I need my lidar, I need narrow view, I need wide view, I need thermal good, I need thermal weak. With a lot of the, hey, no Chinese drones. So that has massively impacted like the price points, right? So all of a sudden, and you hear this when you talk to fire chiefs and police captains, it's like, I used to buy drones for X and now I buy them for 5 to 10X, and it's a problem out there.
Yeah.
So this hitting, we need to explode the use of drones for things that improve productivity, and we need to improve the price point at the same time.
Yes.
So Aurora hits that mark in the mission. How do we accelerate that? And we can provide an array of solutions that will speed up the time to market. So you yourself don't have to design that, since we've already got the mainstream of that done. And then whether you're getting started or you're large, the supply chain to manage all of that. So our value proposition is, at the very beginning, let's get things integrated. And then let's make sure that you win in your marketplace with whatever it is that you're trying to solve in your arena, whether it's first responders, inspection high altitude, underwater, wherever that might be. So that makes
Excellent.
us a superb partner in that particular front. So again, accelerate your time to market. Don't have to worry about the supply chain because we have that, and well established in bringing almost any sensor to market that you can put on a gimbal, the data control you need with the data link or ground control station, and we have propulsion.
Well, it's only been a few years, I think, since you said you kind of setting up shop in the US. As you look to the future, Phil, um, we're in Q4 of 2025, 2026 is right around the corner. What do you see as kind of the next things for Aurora?
So near term, the next things for Aurora is just hopefully more success with our solutions, accelerating solutions, hopefully for the audience that's listening here today on that particular front. I think bigger picture for all of us, in this autonomous, environment is really that combination, right? We've gone 41 minutes here without using the word AI, right? So the the AI and all of these, agents and solutions and sets, how can I find people? How does all of this come together as a clean ecosystem where it's not like, you know, I got to use this one bit of hardware and this one software, and I can only do this sort of stuff. How does it become, you know, um, Lego, where I need this size drone for this, and I need that size drone for that. I don't, you know, scooting ahead to the very long-term future. I want downloadable cameras, right? I want to just download whatever it is I need on that front. So then what's next is how can Aurora, not make that solution instant, but how do we improve upon that where you can have a 2, 3 lens type, camera gimbal solution set that that is easy to use at a price performance that again accelerates adoption on that particular front. And when that's a 2026 occupation for us. Like how can we make more valuable cameras to end users out there on gimbals who don't have to worry about that aspect of it. And then we'll get these other pillars that will help you along the way.
Very good. As I listen to you, Phil, the phrase "the whole is only as good as the sum of its parts" comes to mind. I think that could be a great tagline for you guys
Yeah.
because you're doing the parts, and you're integrating, you're accelerating. So awesome. And it was really great to kind of get, no pun intended, the around the world on Aurora and everything you're doing. I mean, it is so expansive. So I knew our time would fly. We only have like 2 minutes left, Phil, and I want to make sure that we covered everything you wanted the audience to know. And of course, that you have time for some concluding remarks. And please include in that how people can learn more and how they can partner and reach you. Of course, we've got the QR code again, everybody. You can check out their website. But Phil, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much. Hit the QR code, the website, whatever your question is, and then that will get followed up. Don rattled off a number of trade shows. We don't exhibit at every one, but we do attend, so you can certainly look us up there. My name is Phil Mann. You can look me up on LinkedIn, but hitting our website will get you the super fast response on that side of things. I'm sure there's a few out there that I know and me, so we can hit that up. Just concluding remarks, right? And just back to mission and backgrounds, productivity, right? We're dawn of autonomy. How do we make things more autonomous, more productive, safe, and how do we do that sooner versus later? Right? We've been talking about beyond visual line of sight for a long, long time, right? And that's a big productivity enhancer if we cure that. A lot easier. And then Aurora fits into your ecosystem of being able to build solutions. And a robot is nothing without its sensors for collecting the data it's going to do, and it's nothing without the ability to control it or to propel it. So Aurora is here for you on that particular front. And I'm here to just make sure that we use these things for enhancing all our lives.
That's great. And by the way, Phil, we've got our super fan Mark Ganung from the Nevada test site out there saying, thank you for a great show. Thank you, Mark. We always love your positivity and your engagement. So thanks a lot. Thanks everybody else for joining in today. Make sure you reach out to Phil to learn more. Check out that QR code. That's all she wrote, everybody. We are out here.